Hello out there, you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game I Dig. I thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear listening into another Gamers Thoughts discussion. And this one was inspired by Rob of Ruler 2 Review and his question where he asked, why can't games just be good anymore? Or something along those lines. And I take the premise to mean this, and I'm pretty sure that I'm right on this. But why isn't that a game is just allowed to be a good game? Why does it have to have all of the fanfare and spectacle behind it in order for people to deem it worth their time? And that's a thing that I think is highly relevant to today, especially when gamers get themselves extremely hyped up on a video game, and I do mean themselves. They'll get themselves extremely hyped up on a game that's all flash and flare and has all these big names behind it that ultimately turns out to be a disappointment. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that the disappointment is a bad game. It can be, but it's not necessarily that way. Oftentimes, we let the gaming media and the media in general get us hyped up on something versus us knowing what we like to play and being able to recognize what a game looks like that we would enjoy. Factor that in with so many people automatically swearing off of indie games because they just determine that indie games are trash automatically for some reason. And you have a lot of people that overlook what could be very great games even over the flash in the pan stuff. And I've talked about this multiple times myself from other angles, where I talked about how moving into the 7th gen, everything became more about the looks than it did anything else. Now, again, there were some great games during 7th gen with Xbox and PS3, and the Wii also had some really good games, even though the Wii was like Planet Shovelware at the time, but it still had some really good games. But then there were so many games on that platform that because of the shovelware, a lot of stuff got ignored. And then on top of that, where people were more worried about graphics looking the best, they would turn away from the Wii and move over to the 360 or the PS3. So it stands to reason that when it became all about the flash and the flare, which that's what made the industry sell, what the Wii selling over 110 something million units, and then the Xbox 360 and the PS3 respectively selling somewhere around 80 million units each. Yeah, a lot of that was based on the flash and the flare. Now with the Wii, it took a different route and kind of sold to the, well, hey, this is a game console for everybody. Anyone can play it based on how a controller works. And their advertising was great. Followed up with the Wii U, which was much the same console with some additional features. And it had the better look. By then, people were done with the fad, quote unquote, for motion controls. Even though they made themselves return with VR gaming, but still, that's a whole other concept to worry about. But people have gotten so hyped up off of, well, this game looks great. You see all those special effects. You see how clean those textures. You can see the pores and the sweat dripping off of their face for character models that you're probably not likely going to be looking at the face of very much anyway. But still, the stuff is there in the game. There are so many details that are put into just the look of a game that makes the work more expensive, for one, and two, makes it take longer to develop, and three, They jump out, throw all these different sizzle reels and hype reels to get people built up. Now, this is where the industry screws up. Because you know that the fans getting themselves hyped up. That's one thing. But for y'all to throw down sizzle reels on top of that and get them even more hyped up is not helping the situation and me. But yet they do it. They still do it anyway, and they will keep perpetuating it because that's what sells. That's going to get the investors interested, because the investors are going to look at the hype that's coming, and unfortunately, when their investors look at it, they think that's guaranteed sales. Unfortunately, that's not guaranteed sales. That's at best a promise of a sale, but it's not guaranteed. And everybody's worried about chasing the money rather than chasing the idea of making a valuable product. And I blame this on the production studios. Not the development studios, the production studios, the teams behind all the PR and stuff. I blame that a lot on them. And I also do, again, blame it on gamers who got so swirled up in, ooh, this looks pretty. It's nice and shiny. Let me go get that. And then turns out that, hey, this game's got bugs and glitches. I can barely play it. My character falls through the floor. Their faces are melting off. These angles, I can't play. I can't see what I'm doing. I'm being attacked at odd angles and everything. And now I'm going to go on forums and complain about it and talk about his game is garbage that I spent full price on, and then I also bought all the DLC for. Yeah. That's the thing with gamers. And it's been a constant loop. Everyone got caught up in the pretty. And if you tell them otherwise, that during that time frame, you get chuckled at, you get argued down and yelled at, but nobody wanted to listen. And it led the industry to head this way. So with all of that, when you do point out that, hey, this particular game is good, and you hear, well, it's not on this console, so I'm not going to worry about playing it, or I don't want to get these consoles to play these games, or hey, that's an indie game. It's not worth the time for me to spend my money on that when there are AAA releases coming out. But automatically assuming that, hey, just because it's indie or it's not a AAA release, which sucks because we lost so many middleware studios to this exact type of mentality. One, with them not being able to keep up with the production cost, and two, with the market not wanting those types of games because they weren't the flashiest. Kind of a double-edged sword. But it really just comes down to the mentality of gamers and those in the industry in general. It's not everyone, obviously, but there are a lot of people in the industry that make grand promises that they never deliver on, that people will follow behind and swear that their word is gospel multiple times over, instead of ignoring them and moving on to other products to try them. At this point, games like Madden and Call of Duty, they just sell because people buy them every year on a regular basis. So they're not worried about the game actually being good. They're just worrying about the game being the game and it being well known and being able to brag about it with other people. That's all it comes down to. And that in and of itself, that's also part of the problem. But a lot of people aren't going to recognize that. They're not going to think about that. They're just going to be like, well, this game isn't good enough. But how do you know? Now, I will tell you, as a gamer, I know I can look at a game and determine that it's not going to be fun for me. So I won't touch it. Because I have enough experience playing a variety of different types of games to decide, yeah, this quite ain't for me. And I also have enough experience playing video games to know, yet that game in and of itself is busted. From what I can see of it, what's being shown. as long as the companies are honestly showing the games off properly. So it takes time to know those things, and a lot of people that are gaming now haven't taken the time to learn that. And I can't fault them, it's just the way the industry is. Because there's constant high quality, and in quotes there, games releasing, which really just means that those games were expensive to create. It doesn't really dictate that they are good. But then there are tons of games that are in quote unquote low quality that could be good and fun and people might enjoy if they gave them a chance. But again, it's all about the mentality of the community and of the industry. And if you can't get either one of them to change how they act and behave, well, the things are going to stay the same for a while. And a game won't just truly be decided to be good based on the fact that it's just good. But that's all I got to say for now. I know I've rambled a little bit. But thank you guys very much for listening in. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games. Peace out, everybody.